The Senate has so far approved and confirmed the nomination of about 45 ministers out of the total nominees of 48 ministerial ministers sent to us.
The much anticipated ministerial list finally arrived the Senate Thursday, 27 July 2023, ending weeks of anxiety and speculations about the caliber and capacity of those on President Bola Tinubu's cabinet. But only 28 names made the list without their states or ministerial portfolios attached. Quite unusual, the ministerial list was hand-delivered this time around by the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, to the Senate President in line with Section 147 of the 1999 Constitution. Senate did what it had not done before, invoking Section 1A, 1B, and Section 12 of its standing rules to admit Gbajabiamila. Gbajabiamila is the immediate past Speaker of the House of Representatives. Tinubu's ministerial list arrived the Senate few hours to the expiration of the constitutional deadline, mandating him to forward the names of those he wants to hire into his cabinet to the Senate for vetting and approval within 60 days after his inauguration.
Mr. President has sent a correspondence dated 27th day of July 2023 to this hallowed chamber, addressed to distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio, President of the Senate, requests for confirmation of ministerial nominees. In compliance with the provisions of Section 147, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, I am pleased to forward to the Senate for confirmation the underlisted 28 ministerial nominees.
But the list unveiled turned out to be an abridged version made out of only 28 nominees with no states or portfolios attached, but with a promise that more names will follow soon. President of the Senate Godswill Akpabio unveiled the list, and dominating it are former governors, strong political allies believed to have worked for Tinubu's victory at the polls, and a sprinkle of technocrats. Some of the former governors include Nasir El-Rufai and Nyesom Wike, a card-carrying member of the main opposition, the People's Democratic Party (PDP). Also on the list are the former governor of Jigawa State, Abubakar Badaro, and former governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, who currently serves as deputy majority leader in the Senate. Tinubu's list is also significantly dominated by former National Assembly members, mostly senators. Top on the list is the current acting national chairman of the governing All Progressive Congress (APC), Senator Abubakar Kyari from Borno State. Also on the list is Senator John Eno from Cross River and Senator Sani Abubakar Danladi. Former Deputy Chief Whip of the House of Representatives in Kiruka Onyejocha from Abia State, Honorable Olubumi Tunjiojo, and two-term member of the House of Representatives Abubakar Omomo complete the list of former National Assembly members on Tinubu's ministerial list. Executive Director Nexim Bank Stella Okotete from Delta State, and the Special Advisor to the President on Communication, Strategy and Special Duties, Dele Alake, also made the list. Alake is a close ally of President Tinubu. Former Commissioner in Lagos, Wale Edun, is another right-hand man of the President on the list. A surprise package on the ministerial list is the publisher of Blueprint newspaper, Mohammed Idris. One of the lead counsels in Tinubu's case at the Election Petitions Tribunal, Lateef Fagbemi, and the Accord Party governorship candidate in Oyo State, Waheed Adebayo Adelabu, also made the list. To attend to the screening exercise, Senate suspended all its rules and even shifted its annual recess to enable it begin the screening and confirmation of the ministerial nominees on Monday. That Monday, the screening began in earnest, with many of the ministerial nominees asked to take a bow and go. The upper legislative chamber had listed 16 out of the 28 nominees forwarded by President Bola Tinubu for the screening exercise. In no particular order, former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, spent roughly 7 minutes speaking about his accomplishments. His actual screening took less than 4 minutes. He was eventually asked to take a bow and go.
There are so many people who want to be minister, who want to be governor, for the sake that I was a governor, for the sake that I was a minister. But there are those who say, look, what do I want to offer? Am I committed to this job? And I thank Mr. President for nominating me. I believe, knowing how hungry Mr. President is to solving the problems of Nigeria, we have no choice but to give him that required support. And I can assure you, if I'm confirmed, in whatever capacity, Mr. President will not regret nominating me. Thank you, and God bless you.
Acting National Chairman of the governing All Progressive Congress APC, Abubakar Kyari from Borno State, a former member of the Senate, did not even introduce himself when he was asked to take a bow and go.
I will dare call on him if he has anything that he wants to tell us. He can tell us. And if he doesn't have anything, order, please. And if he doesn't have anything, he will take a bow and go. The single nominee, the acting chairman of the APC, the largest party in Africa. If you have anything that you want to tell us that we don't know, you are free to do so. And if you don't, please, you can take a bow and go.
The same courtesy was extended to the nominee from Sokoto State, Bello Mohammed, despite having issues with his post-secondary school certificate. Mohammed had produced only his primary and secondary education certificates.
I have other secondary school results which I have all passed that I have not attached to my CV because we are talking of secondary school certificates. And I want to remind distinguished Senator, which I know he very much know, that the qualifications of secondary school certificates as enshrined in the Constitution, you can stand for an election up to the presidential election. So I didn't bother you with much certificates, but I know I have the qualification for that. Okay, sir.
You are saying that you chose what to give to the Senate. You chose the qualification to bring before the Senate because of the constitutional provision that a secondary school certificate is what is required to stand for election. You are not coming to stand for election. You are coming to be a minister.
Former member of the House of Representatives, Olubunmi Tunji Ojo from Ondo State, also enjoyed the privilege of bow and go, even though he had to clarify a perceived discrepancy in his document. Ojo was born in 1982. He graduated in 2005 from a university in the United Kingdom and served his National Youth Service Corps in 2020. He was at that time a member of the House of Representatives. Others who enjoyed the bow and go included former governor of Jigawa State, Mohammed Badaru Abubakar, Senator John Momo from Cross River State, Nkiru Onyejocha from Abia State, and Abubakar Momo from Edo State. The privilege of bow and go was, however, not extended to the likes of Beta Edu from Cross River State, Uju Kennedy Ohaniye, who were screened for about 30 minutes each. The nominee from Taraba State, Abubakar Danladi, had it toughest on the day after the Supreme Court barred him from occupying any public office in the next 10 years.
They bar him from holding office for a couple of years, so maybe he can comment on that and just take a bow.
Senator Shaibullah took the matter to Federal High Court, to Federal High Court Abuja here on the same matter, sir. The Federal High Court gave me the judgment. He now appealed to Appeal Court. Appeal Court now affirmed the judgment of Federal High Court. They now took the matter to Supreme Court. The same Supreme Court now gave me the judgment. So there was no any judgment, sir. Look at the judgment properly. There was no any judgment from Supreme Court. As I'm talking, the Supreme Court are hearing me. There is no any judgment from Supreme Court nullified, barring me for 10 years. There was no any judgment. You look at the paper, all the papers are before you. Yes. There was no any judgment. If there is judgment, the judgment is here.
His explanation was not convincing enough to the Senate, prompting the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, to order an investigation into the matter. In all, Senate screened 14 out of those listed for the screening on Monday. The next day, and for more than 1 hour, Senate grilled the ministerial nominee from Ogun State, Olawale Edun, taking him on issues of Nigeria's tough economic challenges. A prolific economic expert, Edun came highly recommended and primed by many to become Nigeria's next finance minister. He told senators that Nigeria has all it takes to be successful given the country's vast human and natural resources. Edun accepted the call to serve, hoping to reenact the success story of Lagos when he served as a commissioner in Lagos when Tinubu was the governor. He welcomed the fuel subsidy removal and the unification of foreign exchange markets, while admitting that both policies have come with pains. A pain, he said, will soon give way for gains and sustainable economic development.
In 1990, the wealth, the income per capita, the GDP per capita of Nigeria was higher than that of China. As recently as 1990, today Chinese per capita income is $13,000 nearly. Nigeria's is just over $2,000. So you can see the gap that has opened up. And the reason why was that production growth was stalled by insecurity, by inflation, and by wasteful government expenditure.
This was as Senate President Godswill Akpabio blocked a petition accusing former governor of Kaduna State Nasir El-Rufai of being behind insecurity and creating disunity in the state. Akpabio said the matter will be referred to the appropriate committees, after which he allowed El-Rufai to respond to questions about Nigeria's electricity challenges.
I have a very strong petition against you that borders on security, unity, and cohesiveness of Nigerian nation. And I think that petition has to be considered along in this screening exercise.
The national security agencies, they will handle it on their own and they will be so advised. Ours is just to screen, but we've noted the petitions.
The Senate also spent a considerable period of time on the ministerial nominee from Katsina State, Musa Dankiwa, who was accused by a senator of allegedly rushing to pay his tax for the last 3 years, just a week ahead of his ministerial screening.
All the 3 tax payment years are bearing one particular date. That goes to mean that he was not a taxpayer. And let him explain how he would have gotten to this point of paying all the 3 years taxes in just on the 28th of this month, 2023.
Former governor of Ebonyi State and Deputy Senate Majority Leader David Umahi had it easiest on the day as Senate simply asked him to take a bow and go. The Senate also screened ministerial nominees from Enugu State, Uche Naji, Delta State nominee and Executive Director of Nexim Bank, Stella Okotiete. A former Accord Party governorship candidate, Adebayo Adelabu, was also screened after he came under a barrage of questions about CBN's recent monetary policies, especially its currency redesign, cashless policy, and an anchor borrower scheme for rice farmers. The Senate wasted no time with ministerial nominee from Akwa Ibom State, Ekperekpe Ekpo, a former member of the House of Representatives. He was asked to take a bow and go. Hanatu Musawa from Katsina State was the last ministerial nominee to be screened on that day. The daughter of a former diplomat and foremost First Republic politician, she couldn't hide her emotions while standing before the Senate without a chance of gracing the moment with her late father. The next day, President Bola Tinubu forwarded a second batch of 19 ministerial nominees to the Senate for screening and confirmation, bringing the total to 47 ministerial nominees. For the second time in 1 week, the Senate invoked relevant sections of his rule book to permit the emissary from President Bola Tinubu in the person of his Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, to deliver the second batch of the list of those Tinubu wants to hire into his cabinet. On that list are 5 other former governors: Adegboyega Oyetola from Osun State, Atiku Bagudu from Kebbi State, Simon Lalong from Plateau State, Bello Matawali from Zamfara State, and Ibrahim Gedam from Yobe State. Also on the list are a couple of former National Assembly members, including Senator Hainekin Lokobri from Bayelsa State, Senator Aliu Sabi from Niger State, and former member of the House of Representatives, Zephaniah Gisalo from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. It's the first time in the Fourth Republic that an indigene of the Federal Capital Territory will be nominated for a ministerial appointment since 1999. Others are Uba Megari, Tunji Alausa, Tanko Sununu, Lola Adejon, Tahiu Mama, Akali Ahmed, Shaibu Abubakar, Ishak Salako, Bosun Tijani, Miriam Shetty, and Ahmed Tijani to complete the list of ministerial nominees. Before this, the Senate completed the screening of the first batch of ministerial nominees, with the minority leader ruled out of order after asking the ministerial nominee from Ekiti State, Dele Alaki, to recite the second stanza of the national anthem. The leadership of the Senate also rose in strong defense for Alaki, a right-hand man of President Bola Tinubu, shielding him from responding to allegations that referred to some opposition members as wild dogs on the social media handle.
I've read on social media, sir, your statement concerning other political parties during the election. I read a statement where you labeled supporters of a particular presidential candidate as wild dogs, buying blood on social media. Have you come across that statement? Are you aware of it? Did you say that?
Campaigns are over. We are now in governance. That is why once you pass through that door, you are coming into the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Alaki had earlier told lawmakers that without internal national security, road, electricity, infrastructure, not much can be done to boost investments in tourism. Alaki pushed strongly for press freedom, but not in absolute terms and without a sense of responsibility. Next was the ministerial nominee from Niger State, Mohammed Idris, the publisher of Blueprint newspaper, who answered questions on the media and several national issues. The Senate also grilled the ministerial nominee from Kwara State, Lateef Fagbemi, one of the lead counsels to President Tinubu at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. The Senate rounded off the screening with the nominees from Bauchi State, renowned medical expert Professor Ali Pati, and finance expert Doris Nzoka from Imo State. President Bola Tinubu, however, forwarded the name of his presidential campaign spokesman Festus Keyamo to the Senate, replacing Miriam Shetty from Kano State with Dr. Maria Mahmoud Bonkure. Senate continued with the ministerial screening on Saturday, attending to 5 after the 7 remaining nominees and coming face to face with the man, Dr. Bosun Tijani, who in a tweet in 2021 referred to lawmakers as morons. Tijani had earlier in July 2019 made a tweet describing Nigeria as a bloody expensive tag, allegedly portraying the country in bad light. Senate is appalled by the tweet and demands explanation from Tijani, who incidentally holds a British nationality. At this point, the nominee from Ogun State looked completely pinned down and at the mercy of the lawmakers. When the floor was finally yielded to Tijani to defend himself, he managed to wriggle out of trouble after explaining that the tweet in question was taken out of context and does not reflect what he stands for and his love for his country, Nigeria. He said it was a tweet in the heat of anger over how he was shabbily treated as a Nigerian citizen at the Chinese embassy in the United Kingdom. But Tijani's respite was momentary. Senate Minority Leader had dug up another tweet where Tijani called lawmakers morons. By this time, most of the sympathy for Tijani had evaporated, with many senators raising their hands in the background to wreak even more havoc on the ministerial nomination that now looks shaky. Help eventually came from Senate Leader Okwemi Bamidele when he asked the Senate to allow Tijani apologize for his misguided youthful exuberance, sober about his posts from the past that have come to haunt him. Tijani tendered an unreserved apology. Senate then went on to screen the ministerial nominee from Lagos, Lola Adejohn. A financial and ICT expert, Lola Adejohn's career spans 35 years in the oil and gas, and it is a wealth of experience the widow and mother of 2 hopes to bring to bear in Tinubu'S cabinet if cleared by the Senate. Next was another ministerial nominee from Ogun State, Ishiak Salako. A medical doctor by training, Salako called for improved funding in the health sector. Senate also grilled the ministerial nominee from Adamawa State, Professor Tahir Mama, a legal luminary and former Director General, Nigerian Law School. The senior advocate of Nigeria was entertained to tough questions about the administration of criminal justice system, pending cases, conflicting court judgments, and how to solve the problem of backlog admission into the Nigerian Law School. Senate also screened ministerial nominee from Taraba State, Uba Megiri Amadu, former deputy governor of the state. Megiri is a trained lawyer, one who has transited to be a businessman and a politician. After a week-long screening exercise, Senate returned to plenary for more screening and confirmation of nominees. In all, 45 ministerial nominees, including former Minister of State for Labour and Employment Festus Keyamo, were confirmed. Keyamo's screening had suffered initial setbacks after some senators asked that his screening should be suspended over an old misunderstanding he had with the Ninth Senate. The Senate eventually confirmed the appointment of Keyamo for the 4 others, leaving 3 others, including that of former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, pending. For several minutes, Senate was thrown into rowdiness and was even eventually forced to go behind closed doors, as some lawmakers vehemently kicked against the nomination of former Minister of Labour and Employment Festus Keyamo into President Bola Tinubu'S cabinet. Keyamo was the last of 48 nominees to be screened, and he had everything going well for him as he mounted the rostrum, reeling out his very intimidating credential as an attorney of the law. Keyamo informed the Senate how he had spent the last 30 years using the instrumentality of the law to advance the cause of democracy and the rule of law, and even used his expertise in law to strengthen the powers of the Senate. But trouble started for Keyamo when the minority whip Darlington Nwokocha turned the powers of the Senate on him. Coming under Order 81 subsection 1, Nwokocha drew Senate attention back to events in 2020 and around the issue of public works funds amounting to 52 billion naira. Keyamo was Minister of State for Labor and Employment at the time and had run into conflict with lawmakers over the management of the funds appropriated by the National Assembly to pay 1,000 public works employees recruited in each of the 774 local government areas. Nwokocha recalled how Keyamo at that time denied lawmakers as representatives of the people the opportunity to oversight the exercise and even refused to honor invitations from both chambers of the National Assembly to explain how the money was disbursed and the impact it had on the people. It was payback time and senators were ready to take their own pound of Keyamo's flesh. Abia South Senator Einaya Abaribe recalled Keyamo's behavior very vividly and quickly seconded the motion that his ministerial screening should be suspended until such a time the nominee fully accepts to subject himself to questions by the National Assembly over the 52 billion naira public works fund. At this time, Keyamo's screening had effectively divided the Senate, with some senators calling on the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, to call for a division and put the question again for those in support or against Keyamo's nomination. Senate had become completely rowdy, with Keyamo rooted to his fate squarely in the hands of the lawmakers. In the heat of the moment, Senate was eventually forced behind closed doors, with Akpabio rising to his feet in a frantic bid to call senators on both sides of the divide to order. For several hours, the Senate remained in closed session, with words that Akpabio had been cited at the Villa, Nigeria's seat of power. When the Senate doors reopened, it was to a subdued Senate, and a remorseful Keyamo tendered unreserved apology to the Senate for his conduct.
Let me start with an unreserved apology. My apology is without reservation, it's total apology for the misunderstanding that arose between us in my committee at that time at the Ninth Assembly.
Attempt by some senators to subject Keyamo to further scrutiny was deflected by the Senate President, and he was allowed to take his leave of the Senate. Earlier, Senate screened Dr. Maria Mahmood Bonkure from Kano State, the former Commissioner for Higher Education in the state, who replaced Miriam Shetty. At the end, the Senate confirmed the appointment of Keyamo. 44 others, including Dr. Bosun Tijani from Ogun State, who also had a difficult time over his unpleasant tweets about Nigerian lawmakers. But the nomination of former Governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, Executive Director Nevzin Bank Stella Okotete, and Danladi Abubakar, ministerial nominees from Taraba State, were put on hold due to petitions against the three ministerial nominees.
The others are still awaiting security clearance.